Chapter 18. Summary. True abandonment. As in the previous chapter, the early sections of this, the last chapter, also emphasize the part played by the three Gunas of Prakriti in all human affairs. It opens with a question by Arjuna about the distinction between sannyasa and tyaga. The Lord replies, "Abandonment of ritualistic works with promises of specific rewards is called by sages as sannyasa, while performance of all action without an eye on their fruits is tyaga. Some say that all actions are to be abandoned, because there is some element of evil in every action, but others are of the opinion that actions like yajna, charity, austerity, etc. are never to be abandoned. My view is that actions like yajna, charity, and austerity are never to be abandoned, because they purify man when performed without attachment and desire for fruits. To abandon a duty because of fear of difficulties involved is positively bad. It is impossible for any embodied being to abandon all work. So true abandonment has to be taken to mean work without attachment to fruits and without the sense of ego. Actions done in that spirit never bind. How the bondage of actions is overcome. In all actions there are 5 factors involved: the body, the eye sense of the performer, senses, expression of energy through them, and as the 5th, the unknown and incalculable factor. All these are factors belonging to Prakriti. Behind it is the pure light of consciousness, the Atman, who is the unaffected witness. In ignorance, this pure witness identifies himself with these factors external to him and their performances, and creates bondage for himself. So if the actor has no feeling like, "I am doing," and no attachment to the fruits accruing, it can be said that he does not act, even if all the world sees him acting in the physical sense. The 3 gunas as the determinative factors. Sattva. Dispositions of Prakriti, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, determine the nature of knowledge, action, and agent. Knowledge dominated by Sattva leads to the understanding of unity in diversity. Actions dominated by it tend to detachment and freedom from passionate affiliations. A doer dominated by it is comparatively free from ego sense and attachment, but yet does not lack enthusiasm and interest in the work. The intelligence dominated by it is always accompanied by moral sensibility and an eye to the spiritual side of things. Strength of mind dominated by it is expressed as control of the senses and the mind, and as strict adherence to principles. And experience dominated by it is painful in the beginning due to difficulties of discipline, but ends in great bliss. Rajas. Knowledge dominated by Rajas directs attention to the diversity of things and not their unity. Work dominated by it results in actions done with great attachment, egotism, and expenditure of energy. An agent dominated by it is greedy, cruel, attached, and subject to elation and depression. Intelligence dominated by it is riddled with confusion about right and wrong and has little sense of duty. Strength dominated by it is under the sway of ambitions, desires, and worldly status, and happiness dominated by it is extremely attractive in the beginning due to sensual excitement, but in its final result brings about suffering. Tamas. Knowledge dominated by tamas sees mere side issues as the whole truth and doggedly holds on to them without due thought, under the prompting of passions. Action dominated by tamas is undertaken thoughtlessly without any estimate of one's capacity or resources, and is prompted by delusions and cruel motives. The agent dominated by tamas is fickle-minded, insolent, exploiting, procrastinating, and slipshod in his methods. Intelligence dominated by tamas sees unrighteousness as righteousness and takes the wrong side of everything. Strength or determination dominated by tamas is always subject to depression, vacillation, and overbearing insolence, and pleasure dominated by tamas is from the beginning to the end riddled with delusion, lethargy, and heedlessness. Gunas and character types. Everything in nature being thus dominated by the gunas, the character types, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, and the duties pertaining to them, are also no exception to this domination. Intellectualism and introspectiveness, dynamism and leadership, industry and productiveness, discipline and service at all levels, these are the duties of the four character types based on their natural constitutions. Work as worship. Knowing that all one's endowments are derived from universal nature, which is the Lord's power of manifestation, man must worship that Supreme Being with the faithful and non-attached discharge of the duties that devolve on him. That is real worship, and by that, man evolves spiritually. By the mere fact that there are some defective elements in a work, one's duty cannot be abandoned. For defects are natural to all works, as smoke is to fire. If discharged in a dedicated and detached spirit, as an offering to the Lord who manifests as society, all blemishes are overcome. Spiritual fulfillment through total abandonment. For men who have grown mature through devotion and dedicated work and attained to detachment and dispassion, there are two courses open. Those who are favorably situated for it may take to a pure ascetic life in solitude and devote themselves to the practice of pure introspection. Such practice endows him with motiveless love of the Lord, a love not influenced by any of the forces of nature. By such love, he attains to a comprehensive and intuitive understanding of the divine, and realizes himself as a part and parcel of the divine life. Spiritual fulfillment through resignation. Those who have not that facility for complete withdrawal from social life can continue to do their svadharma with complete dependence on me, the Lord of all. Such a one should mentally renounce all sense of agency for the works that flow through him, and externally he should have no longing or attachment for the fruits of his actions. One who thus infills his mind with me overcomes all difficulties and attains to the highest spiritual fulfillment. For the truth is that all beings are like objects placed on a wheel, and I, the Lord of all, alone turn the wheel. Those on the wheel, if they think they are turning it, are in utter ignorance. Seek shelter in me with your whole being, and you shall attain peace. This profoundest spiritual gospel I reveal to you now. Be filled with me, worship me, make prostrations to me. Abandoning dependence on every kind of ego-centered support, seek me alone as your refuge. I shall save you from the life of ignorance and sin. To whom the Gita is relevant. This great spiritual doctrine is to be taught only to those who are spiritually inclined. Such teaching is highly pleasing to me, as they are thereby worshipping me with jnana yagna. Conclusion. Wherever Krishna, the Lord of Yoga, and Arjuna, the enforcer of Dharma, function unitedly, there will reign both prosperity and spirituality.